South Africa, Cape Town. Although surrounded by two oceans, South Africa is a water-scarce country. The average domestic consumption lists South Africa with 240 liters per person per day. That's nearly as high as the world's average of 270 liters. The problem is that South Africa only gets half the rain of the global average.
Clearly, South Africa has a water problem. This was internationally recognized when Cape Town nearly ran out of water in beginning of 2018, when tourists were told to please only take 2 minutes of showers or none.
Hence, the city of Cape Town increased restrictions to level 6B, limiting usage to 50 liters per person per day, which is like my daughter flushing the toilet 6 times to get rid of some hair. These problems seem to be long forgotten because the dams are filled to the brim, but in actual fact, nothing has really changed. The problem hasn't gone away. They just got lucky. The city of Cape Town's population has grown from 2.4 million residents in 1995 to nearly 5 million in 2021. So whilst the population doubled in 25 years, the dam water storage only increased by 10% in the same period. So all these shiny blue dams will be sucked dry in no time when the next inevitable drought kicks in. So what is the government's plan? We organized a Zoom phone call with South African parliamentarian and African leader Zolani Mkiva.
There are countries that have already explored and actually invested in the desalination projects, including Cuba as well as the United Arab Emirates. But we don't have to look far away, because the Libyan brothers, who are part and parcel of us in the continent, have done this very successfully. As we explore and looking at a possibility of investing huge resources in desalination, we must send our teams there and take stock of what has happened there, and then come and apply it here and ensure that we replicate it in all the respective provinces where we have the seafront.
Without considering effects of climate change, the water shortage is made in South Africa. Derailed planning and maintenance, paired with delayed infrastructure upgrades, aren't coping with water shortages over prolonged time periods. South Africa's demand of water, just under the global average, sucks the country dry. The behavior indicates that water is not treated as an abundant resource. One part of the South African government's plan is to change how citizens relate to water. Johannesburg is one of the few cities in the world that developed away from a river. Half of the water in Johannesburg comes from the African mountain kingdom Lesotho and is pumped to the city 300 meters higher, hundreds of kilometers away. One guy who appreciates water and its value is Ian Blackmore. At the first glance, he just looks like the generic dude at the car wash, but he's doing it with a difference. He came up with a system that reduces a traditional car wash with hosepipe and bucket of 100 liters to just under 3 liters.
If you have to wash your car with a hose in a bucket, you're looking at about 100 liters of consumable water per cycle. Then with our system, we are using in total, I would say, a liter of solution per vehicle. We are still using an average of about another additional 2 liters. So you'd say that 3 liters on average per vehicle, we're sitting at 10% of what a conventional car is doing, and the cars are coming out clean.
What makes this idea interesting for the South African government is the fact that this water-saving method can be rolled out nationwide and applied to one of the biggest transport sector in the country, the minibus taxi industry. Nearly 70% of South Africans are using them. The South African National Taxi Council, SANTACO, estimated that there are more than 200,000 minibus taxis in South Africa. Ian Blackmore is preparing for a pilot project west of Johannesburg in a city called Daveyton, where 2,000 taxis roll through every day. He plans to wash 60 to 70 taxis a day.
The Department of Water Affairs in particular has come up with very creative programs. One of them is to declare war on the leaks. A lot of water goes away into wastage due to those leaks.
Leaks in old pipes are said to lose up to half of its water.
The sooner we start investing in desalination plants that are voluminous, the better. And it will be cheaper to maintain them, because the cost of not having water is more detrimental to the economy than to maintain a desalination plant, which ensures that there's always water in society.
So in the moment that you have desalination and the water price goes up,
Do you think there is a plan in place to make it accessible for people that are not that rich? How do you make sure that the general public can afford water for a long time?
Water is a right, Boris, and it can be determined in terms of the price lines, especially for ordinary poor people. So as a government, we have a responsibility to ensure that we bring water to all our communities, including the poorest of the poor. We come up with a cross-subsidization approach to these matters. The rich who can afford must be taxed in order to be able for us as government to ensure that cross-subsidization.
A lot can be done before desalination plants swing into action in South Africa if they are affordable. 60% of South Africa's water is used for agriculture, 30% used by industry, and only 10% is consumed by household. So even a behavior change is not going to cut it. It needs rain from the top, and that needs to be managed properly. But imagine this, according to Agri-SA, only 1.5% of farmland is under irrigation to already produce 30% of the country's crops. Imagine the possibilities. New methods and copying the Netherlands approach for water usage for many crops shall allow South Africa to use 90% less water. If it is up to Ian Blackmore and the government, the regular Sunday car wash scenes throughout the country will become a lot less wet and less fun, but surely more sustainable. There are currently no water shortages in Cape Town. What has gone missing are the tourists. About 20,000 people lost their jobs, and tourism revenue is down by 30%. It will take a lot of rain dances and money for Cape Town to come up with these new shiny desalination plants. That is Boris Friedel reporting for Global Review from Cape Town, South Africa.